and you really must tune in. He's ironic, iconic, maybe bionic. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing a genius. He's a genius.
Years ago, the show Commander-in-Chief, and I was playing just some schmo, and there's like a press conference within the show, and I had a few lines and stuff, and with Donald Sutherland, and I'm like, oh, it's Donald Sutherland, and then I get up and we do the rehearsal and everything's fine, and then when we go for the take, all the people playing reporters flash their cameras, and I completely forgot my line because it's like all the. So then I briefly had some sympathy for politicians. All right.
Well, we promise not to blind you today.
Yeah.
Okay. Kicking off with a nice easy one to start. Oh.
Sorry. Just so everybody knows, there's going to be 20 minutes round table just like this. If anybody wants a one-to-one, speak now.
Yep.
Right, so you've got... So you have 5 minutes. How many?
You might as well say that.
Right.
You're for duty.
Or you're separate?
Unlimited one-to-one.
Right, so we've got 3.
Okay, so if 3, we have 10 minutes between 3 minutes each.
Yep, it's fine.
No more.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I just had to take a photo. It's a little bit funny. Why is that making sounds? It is on airline. Okay.
Told me you were going to take a photo with a photo.
All right. And I should favour this guy. It doesn't really matter.
Whoever's speaking. Right. And I guess kicking off with a nice easy one.
Yeah.
Have you been enjoying yourself at London Comicon? How does it feel to be here?
I have been enjoying myself. I was here a few years ago. It's been a while. I guess at least I sort of popped my cherry then because I was a little overwhelmed the first time around. This time around, I'm a little more prepared. I've been pacing myself energy-wise, but my voice is already shot. But that's because I flew in this morning. So, yeah, a lot of fun, man. A lot of fun.
And when people do get a chance to meet you at stuff like this, what are the most common requests you get and what are the most common questions you get?
I guess a difficult one sometimes is what's your favourite phrase of a certain character? I don't, it's hard. It's hard to come up with a favourite phrase, and I think when fans are so good about digesting characters and going back over scripts and dialogue. I mean, I finish a project and I'm kind of like it's sort of gone and on to the next, not like forgotten in terms of the experience, but they've got like a photographic memory of all these things. So I think that's a challenge for me, and I feel like sometimes I let people down because I'm like, I wish I could think of that. Like, no, but that scene where you do the thing. And I'm like, I forgot.
I mean, how did you get started in acting and specifically voicing?
That's a good question, because I started off acting, I went to drama school, and then in my last year of drama school, I got an agent. I was very fortunate to get an agent, and all their clients had voice tapes, so they took me by the hand and go to make a voice tape. But then I was doing commercial stuff, so I started off doing retail type stuff and then some promo type things. And then when I moved to LA in the end of '03, then I got introduced to the world of video games. And what was great about that is now I got to bring sort of the acting side of things to the voice world. So that was nice because you get to play such a wide range of characters with your voice that you wouldn't on camera, because on camera you're sort of limited by how you look, less so on stage obviously, because there's some sort of liberties there, but like for instance on camera a lot of the time I'm getting called in to play villains and this sort of thing, and I've played more heroic characters in video games because then I can kind of bring that side. If I could just sort of get the casting people to see that, yes, if he can do that with his voice, maybe he's not a terrible person.
But it's all kind of range and looks, isn't it? When you're looking at like even film, TV, theatre, it's biased.
Yeah, no, for sure. And they see something, they go, okay, that's what you are. Yeah. And it used to frustrate me no end. Yeah, because it's like, you're getting pigeonholed. It's like, no, but I'm an actor. It's like I trained and and you're like, I can do this, this many things if you want. And they just see me as this one little thing. But I realize, in a way, it helps them do their job. It helps casting, directors do their job by going, okay, good, we know he can be our person for that, And so basically my theory is if you can make not a career, but if you can make a big impression doing that thing, then you get to a stage where then you can start to pick and choose a little bit. And I think the best example, I'm not saying I'm any rights person, but like say for instance like a Tom Hanks who's like Mr. Comedy. Comedy becomes so huge that now he can go, okay, no, I want to do this. I want to do this guy here.
Yeah, I think it's that one role, isn't it? The one role that can allow you to kind of break against time, in a sense.
Yeah.
That can allow you to sort of encompass something. And if you can hit a home run with that role, because I think it was so established that when he did something like Forrest Gump, for instance, it propelled him to do more like serious roles and different types of characters. He became more of a character actor rather than a comedy actor.
Yeah, I mean, something like Philadelphia, when you saw Big, you wouldn't think of him, being able, even being capable of that, because you just hadn't seen him do it, sort of thing. I also think as well, also it's name value. You get to a certain point where you have, significant, cred and notoriety, or notoriety is the wrong word, but, when you become a bit of a household name and people do know who you are, I think then it's like, oh, okay, well, if they're interested, well, then maybe we will, consider them for something outside of that.
How do you think the games industry and kind of like geek culture has encompassed actors now? Because like there's more diversion in terms of your roles. Video games used to be those little things you could just play on, and like little text adventures. Now there's so much more to them than cinematic. They're like equal to value in kind of like film and TV. How do you feel that's kind of worked to your advantage as an actor?
Well, I think I was saying earlier to somebody that like a role that excites me is a role where the writing is good, and I think with video games, like you say, they've been elevated beyond fire in the hole and just very basic two-dimensional characters to a far more three-dimensional, involved, lifelike, and as the animation has followed suit with the kind of technology, like most recently like this Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, which I worked on, which is likeness as well. And I mean, those cutscenes are amazing. Yeah. I mean, you can. I mean, I worked on Battlefield 3, and that was also likeness, but that's several years earlier. And you see how the technology just gets better and better and better, and how it moves from, oh yeah, I can see it's recognizably that person or that actor, to a point where it's like, is that film, or is that animated? It's so close now, and audiences and the players, are demanding a better quality the whole time. I think they're not satisfied with simple linear stuff. They want more complex narratives, and also with video games, it's not like a movie where you only have to satisfy people for like I don't know, 90 minutes or 2 hours. They've got to have whatever it is, 8 to 10 hours of narrative story going on there. So you've got to keep them busy. So it means that the writing has to be good, and that's like a whole mini-series.
It's become more submersive. It's more visceral, like theatre in a sense.
Sure.
Because they follow you from step one of your journey. With theatre, you can interact with the audience. You can talk to people and say, hey, this is who I am, and kind of develop that connection. Mm-hmm. And I think the same connection in gaming has kind of happened, because they're taking the game plan, they're joining you. They're watching these people who they've established a connection with, like die out, as you said, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. They've watched characters die out, they've watched other characters become evil and other guys become good, and you follow this story all the way through to the end of the narrative and get that kind of submersive feeling that you would normally get with something like that. One of the things that I found kind of got lost a little bit in cinema was that connection. You lost that connection with the characters that you worked with, but it's more coming back in centralised with TV, such as.
Yeah, but that's a good point as well. It's like now a lot of TV episodic television is now, better than film. Yeah. Because it's just I mean, and it comes down to the writing. But there's some really, really solid stuff, and it's why I know for the longest time people thought TV was sort of the poor cousin of film, and now it's really putting a lot of film to shame. Yeah.
How do you feel like Netflix is doing, like in terms of bringing out these shows, because it's becoming like the main platform now, is television?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting future. I mean, it demands. I mean, it's nice because somebody like Netflix has complete freedom. Once they're developing something, because they're not. tied down by the advertisers, and advertisers dictate a lot of, I think, what TV networks can put out. Because they're gonna, they they watch the show and sort of teasers and stuff, and either they want to place their product in that or they don't, and so there's little sort of narrow bands of play, whereas like Netflix has just sort of broken all the rules in one sense in terms of delivery of an entire series in one go, but also in terms of the boundaries they can push. Yeah.
You talk about Netflix, so we have to talk about Daredevil.
Yeah.
When you got this project, were you aware of the backstory of Daredevil before, or did you have to read up about the character?
I knew a little bit, but I wasn't like a fundi. Vladimir and Anatoly are obviously not, they're not from that world, so they're fresh and new. I think what was interesting to me as an actor being part of the thing was also being an audience member, discovering where they're going to take this. Because I don't know the look it's going to have. I'm not seeing dailies. So it was as exciting for me as it was to most people seeing like the first teaser and going like, ooh, yeah, this could be, and then you're watching, you go like, ooh, when's he going to get his suit, and I don't know. I think it's interesting. I was surprised. I knew it was the action was intense and it was kind of gory from the stuff I did, but I didn't fully appreciate like the caliber of stunt choreography and just overall quality. Because those guys are there. The execs from Daredevil and Marvel, Netflix and Marvel. They're there. They're very hands-on. So they obviously knew what they wanted to create, and I think it shows in the product.
With this role that you played, this Russian gangster, how would you say that you created this persona to fit this image that was in the script?
I think the sort of the sense that these guys, these brothers, had come from, they were sort of forged in the in the mines, if you will, and I think coming to America to sort of create a new life and really sink their teeth and claws into that sort of dream and make a better big
Did you identify with that? With you yourself going over to the States?
I suppose on some level I didn't think about that directly. This is Gideon. This is Gideon moving to Los Angeles because I think in some respects Anatoly was more successful earlier, but then he did have a rough end. So in that respect, my journey's been healthier.
Obviously Marvel's been hugely successful in all of the properties, but what do you think Daredevil's brought to Marvel? Because it feels like in many ways the first time that they've really had the confidence to go after something truly adult and unashamedly so.
Yeah, they don't pull any punches, literally and figuratively. It's, I think it's great. I think it's really exciting that they can do that, and I think people perhaps laughed them off in the beginning. It's like, are they really a player? And now it does seem to be very much the way delivery of television is moving. So I don't know what that means for the regular networks and or for the industry in general, but it is interesting. I personally as an actor, I think it's interesting from that perspective that you could work on a show and know that you're going to be shooting a whole series, a whole season, as opposed to the typical pilot model where they shoot a bunch of pilots then they look at it and they go, okay, we'll put 3 of them out, and then half of those, 2 out of the 3 get pulled after a handful of episodes. Whereas like something like Netflix, they go, this is it, this is the one we're going with, or the ones we're going with, and then they just, boom, they just do it. So I think that's nice. I think there's something nice about being unapologetic generally. Not in an offensive way, but in a creative way. Going like, this is what I'm creating. I'll make no apology for it, but I'm gonna, put everything into it, and here you go. Make of it what you will, world. And yeah, they seem to be doing something right. So yeah.
That's the end of the roundtable, and so.
If you only knew the power of the dark side.
2, 1, 0.